And when Michael Ellis is ready to move out of London and his constituency, he's just not ready yet. It's all right. We'll be ready for him in the north. Yay! And he can hear poems like this. I'll start with this, actually, because I think for me, this maybe says something about how Northerners tend to cope well with challenging yet inspiring events, because we don't like to make a fuss. And maybe that's something that's a quality of actually all those of us in the arts and culture worlds. And sometimes that's of course that's a good thing. We don't make a fuss, but sometimes maybe we need to make a fuss. Anyway, this is called Our Ends in the North. On the first day the world ended, we said least said, soonest mended. Sometimes these things are sent to try us, though in this case they'd been sent to fry us. On the second day, I was on the bus when there was a bang and all the lights went out and a chorus of, "Call this an apocalypse, I felt nout." And Grimsby hasn't looked this good since the Germans redecorated. Us Northerners are tough like that, nobody else compares. On the third day, there was a crack in the space-time continuum. We said, never mind, I'll go to the foot of our stairs. When we got home, there weren't any. On the fourth day, Clec Heaton exploded. I said, worse things have happened at sea, and popped on a Bear Grylls DVD. On the fifth day, the government said that actually, in London, the restaurants and arts venues were all still full, and maybe we weren't trying hard enough in Liverpool, Birmingham and Hull. We should get on our bikes. And there not being any bikes left or roads was just an excuse. On the sixth day, this poem has become so much more resonant suddenly. I just don't understand why. Context is really important, isn't it? Where was that? Anyway. On the sixth day, the streets were full of people wandering about, moaning, not zombies, just people complaining about the price of white sliced and petrol. Greg's Ham and Armageddon pasties were going down a storm, and they didn't have to charge tax because the surface radiation kept them warm. Ambient temperature. On the seventh day, there were no planes in the sky. We had street parties, shared the last of our tins. Beth China was brought out, bunting unfurled. Armageddon, we said. What's the problem? It's not the end of the world. Thank you. It's funny, because actually, originally in the running order, you'll have noticed I was meant to be, before Michael Ellis, I was going to be his warm-up person. And obviously, that worried me a bit, because he's used to following the oratory of his cabinet colleagues. Turned out fine. So, I've not said anything. If you had a transcription, though, it would be fine, wouldn't it? Anyway, so what I'm doing here today, apart from this, a thing that I really enjoy doing, actually, which is basically listening today to the stuff that is said on the stage, the stuff that isn't said, and kind of trying to summarise it all at the end of the day in a massive plenary poem. And for me, that is actually part of what I get to do as a poet all the time, really. There's something about listening and reflecting back and getting to be in a sort of in-between space as well. And that's maybe something I really enjoy about my art form of being I tend to call it a spoken word, a stand-up poet. Because if you say that you're a comedian who does poems, not that many people will come and see you. Whereas if you say you're a poet who does comedy, still not that many people will come and see you, but at least you get Arts Council funding. Which I think makes me a subsidy addict, according to the Northern Powerhouse Minister last week. But again, I'm sure he'll be coming to like loads of Northern events and he'll love it and it'll all be fine. I think, because I'm going to do a favour to this event because we are slightly overrunning and I don't want to overrun. I'm going to slightly underrun because I think I've managed to say far more than I hoped, really. So I'm just going to end. See, that's the arts, innit? It's good. You don't always have to be explicit. Sometimes it's just there in the stuff and the context. I'm going to finish, though, with a bit of a poem that... so I was lucky enough to be involved with quite a few Hull 2017 events, including the Contain Strong Language Festival, which was brilliant. And I also managed to persuade someone with a budget that I could interview Hull residents about their experience of the year and how it had impacted on them. And those poems, I would do a thematic analysis of them, and those poems would go in the evaluation report. So instead of just numbers, we have actual voices of Hull people, and that has come to pass. Partly because I've done a PhD, I've done lots of research methods. It does confuse people when I say I've just finished a PhD. They're like, do you need a doctorate to do comedy? Like, are you going to need a PhD to go on live at the Apollo? Like, no, a penis probably, but not a PhD. Another thing. Anyway, but I used these research methods for the good. And this poem says quite a lot for me about my journey as a poet from a sort of shame almost as a person, or lack of confidence, to growing in confidence through all the brilliant experiences that I've had in arts and culture. And that's what happened to Hull in many ways. All these similes came from people of Hull. So it's just called Hull Tigers. Before we were stuck, an apathetic sloth, boring and grey, a curled-up hedgehog, a grumpy badger, an earthworm, stubborn and hiding away, a reliable chicken producing the occasional double yolker, an ugly duckling, knowing we were beautiful on the inside, though nobody gave a second look. Now we're a whole fleet of ships. We are tigers, not just because of the football team, proud and fierce roaring. We're like falcons, spreading our wings and soaring. Woodpeckers digging for opportunities, flamingos and proud peacocks showing off, parrots who never stop talking. Before we were space junk, a peripheral planet like Pluto, where people and government ministers would never think to go. A black hole... Sorry, that wasn't in... That's wrong, that wasn't their words. Sorry. A peripheral planet like Pluto, where people would never think to go, a black hole. Now we're a galaxy of stars, pulsing light, a broadcasting, beaming satellite. We're a caterpillar that's turned into a butterfly, the brightest point in the sky. People know where and what we are. Visible, proud, a northern star. Here's to visibility and pride. Have a good day. Thank you.